This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we're live. Okay.
Gene, I'm wondering if we could maybe have a reminder to have people turn their cameras off. It really sucks up the bandwidth.
Sure. Yeah, if you have your camera on, appreciate you can turn it off so that we can preserve all the bandwidth.
Who's the second B? That's Bill.
That's the,
Way on the right side, there's a B. Is that also Bill?
it's 7:30.
Okay, it's 7:30. It's 7:30, we have a quorum, so I will call the meeting to order. We will start with a pledge of allegiance, please. Rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before I open forum, I wish to all right, in response to many misunderstood or misleading statements of late, I will take this time to clarify two issues. First, the Silver Lake Hopes development was advancing. We created a development agreement with the developer. Beside the escrow for platting, we required an additional escrow and a letter of credit for them to proceed. When those two items were not in our hands, we withheld building permits until the paperwork and escrow were received. That took 2 days. The plat escrow was more than enough to cover all township expenses to that date, and there was never a time when the township was vulnerable financially. Second, as to raising taxes, please refer to your real estate tax statement. The Princeton Township share of your property tax is about 13% of your total real estate tax. Unless you have made major improvements to your property, your 2019, 2020, and 2021 Princeton Township tax have not gone up, and in most cases actually decreased slightly. We have not finalized the 2022 budget proposal yet due to some unknowns, but we anticipate no increase in your taxes in 2022 and yet maintain a surplus balance that is slightly more than recommended by the Minnesota Association of Townships. You may check with our township attorney, zoning administrator, or engineer to verify these facts, but they are facts. I will now open public forum. Does anybody wish to speak at public forum?
Dean, this is Cindy. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just want to say thank you for making that statement. I think it's going to clear up a lot of confusion, and it was clearly stated. There's too much buzz about things that are not official. There's too much social media comments, and the people could use their time more productively and wisely to actually show up at these meetings, whether, go to a friend's house who knows how to use this properly, go to the town clerk, talk to them on the strategy and the steps to get this done. This has gone on not one meeting, but more than enough meetings that somebody should be able to figure this out. So thank you for doing that. It won't quiet the noise from some of the aggressive mouths in the community, but if they were that concerned, they should be running for the positions in March. So that's what I have to say, and thank you again.
Thank you. Is there any other comments? This is open forum.
Hey, Gene, can you hear me? This is Barry.
Yes, Barry, you're on.
Hey, just want to let you know that I am at the meeting and I am listening. It's not just hearsay. I'm here.
Did you understand what has been printed and what was just responded to?
I understand what was responded to.
Okay. And if you wish to, you can check with, like I say, check with our county attorney, township attorney, planning commissioner, or engineer, and they will back that this is fact.
I will be doing that.
Are there any further comments on open forum?
This is
Yeah, I'd be
Kylie.
good.
What do you got to recognize?
This is Kylie. I just had a quick question. I saw there's a Facebook page called the Princeton Township of Mille County Unofficial News and Events. Is this information, since it's described as unofficial, is there an official news and events page? Is there another forum or something for discourse that is endorsed by the township?
No, we do not have one.
I can respond to this. This is Thomas Duden. I'm the one who takes care of most of the publicizing the stuff on the line. Most of the stuff that I do, all the plowing updates, anything I do regarding the township, I don't know who even runs the township page, to be honest with you. Most of the stuff I throw on the Princeton Community Bulletin Board, the one in the orange. That's where I throw most of it. It's not official by any means. I'm just trying to get the information to the public in a faster, more efficient method than sitting in the newspaper, because I'll be honest, I don't even read my own mail, let alone the newspaper. So I am trying to get it out in a more efficient manner so that we can get more attendance in here. But lately it's just been a bunch of crucifixion lately. So.
To be clear, is that in an official capacity or just in an unofficial capacity that you're
That is in an unofficial capacity. That is me as a board member trying to put the information forward, trying to help clarify some of the stuff that keeps getting thrown out. And then we have to respond to it a month later versus on the social, you can address it a little sooner and make some stuff clearer for people to understand who are not attending the meetings. But it is not in an official manner by any means.
Next.
Is my microphone open?
Yes, Andrea. Or who wants in?
This is Marcia Anderson. And I would just like to make a statement because over the last several years, been put through a great deal from the lack of this township board's historical performance to not activities for roads. And unfortunately, many people don't understand these responsibilities and perceive and represent that the board is mishandling things when it's actually doing the work it's expected to perform. Instead, many citizens seem to have been brainwashed, and it appears a double standard is acceptable, as township residents also pay county taxes and state taxes in addition to the township taxes. However, they would prefer the majority of the residents do not receive the services they should have that are paved, which the township ordinance is required to be paved. So over the last 10 years, we found that over 90% of the paved roads in the township were intentionally neglected, and this fact was hidden by misrepresenting this in the budgets. And these were budgets that were presented to the citizens knowingly. And there were two people that were involved, what the monies were being spent for in this township, and were signing checks for it. And that was the former chairman and the former clerk treasurer. And here are the facts, that these roads were expected to be improved, They were roads that the township owns, not individual citizens. And the developer improved and paved the roads as he was required to do. The township was to pave those roads years ago. They had not done that. They were long overdue. They had been very, very neglected. And in 2019, at the July combined meeting with city officials, at the end of the meeting, the city officials asked the township what they have done to address the needs for improving these roads. And Greg Anderson replied that that was what the money had been put aside for. Then it was again presented that the board was spending a quote unquote well-earned reserve. Well, that reserve is the tax money paid by citizens that did not get their services for the paved roads and their maintained roads. In fact, 82nd and 33rd got only 1 year's worth of gravel in approximately 10 years. So when citizens are pitted against each other, that is not what a township should be doing. The township's responsibility is to do the best thing it can to maintain and improve the roads in a fiscally sound manner. And for the first time, has a comprehensive plan for roads, and residents are receiving proactive information about how the township is planning to meet its obligations. And a township is an apolitical organization that is here to serve all residents of the township and provide the services per state laws and statutes through the taxes it collects. And one of those responsibilities, again, is to maintain and improve the roads of the township, not neglect them and hide that fact. Thank you for that time.
Thank you. Excuse me. Next person, is there anybody else wish to speak at the open forum?
I would just like to ask a question.
Proceed.
I would just like to know, Mr. Wilhelm, if it is acceptable to give citizens have a double standard where only gravel roads are maintained and not the paved roads of the township.
Okay. We're not going to respond to a direct question to a board member, I don't believe. But thank you. Is there any other people who wish to speak at the open forum? If there are no other people wishing to speak, I will close the open forum. Next item of business is to approve the meeting minutes for the January 19th monthly meeting.
I would move to approve the minutes of the January 29th, the January 19th meeting, Mr. Chairman.
Those, Mr. Duden?
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Duden has made a motion to approve the January 19th minutes. Is there a second?
This is Bill Whitcomb. I would second that.
Bill Whitcomb has seconded the motion. Motion has been made and seconded to approve the January 19th minutes as printed. Is there any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, we will proceed to vote. Mr. Duden?
Aye.
Mr. Hiller is not here, I don't believe. Mr. Stoffel is aye. Mr. Whitcomb?
Aye.
And Mr. Wilhelm?
Aye.
Mr. Wilhelm is aye. Vote is 4-0. Motion is carried to approve the monthly meeting, monthly minutes for January 19th meeting. Next item is the clerk treasury report. We have a cash control statement would be the first item.
I would move to approve the cash control statement. Thomas Duden.
Also, Mr. Duden. Is that correct? Is there a second to the motion to approve the cash control statement? I will second that motion. Motion is made and seconded to approve the cash control statement. Just in brief. What's that?
You want me to review or?
Go ahead.
Okay. Just quickly, in the two main funds, the general fund, beginning balance was $169,914.70, receipts of $11,926.15, disbursements of $15,863.20, and an ending balance of $165,977.65. And then in the road and bridge, beginning balance was $145,460.48, receipts of $2,958.97, disbursements of $8,132.64, and an ending balance of $140,286.81.
And this does not include our reserve, which is $108,767. So if you add that to those two, it comes out to about $412,000. Any further questions? Discussion? There's no further discussion. We'll proceed to vote on the motion to approve the cash control statement. Mr. Duden.
Aye.
Mr. Stoffel is aye. Mr. Whitcomb
Aye.
and Mr. Wilhelm.
Aye.
Mr. Wilhelm, do you wish to? Did he? I didn't. I'm sorry. Okay, motion is 4-0. We have approved the cash control statement. Next item is January payroll. And it's very simple. It's just basically it's the town board, the planning commission, Mr. Dahl, maintenance, and I guess that's it. Total $3,400. There.
I
Any
move the motion
discussion?
to accept the net pay account distribution. Bill
That's
Whitcomb.
Mr. Whitcomb. Is there a second? Again, I will second the motion. Is there any further discussion on the motion to accept the January payroll? There is no further discussion. We'll proceed to vote. Mr. Duden?
Aye.
Mr. Stoffel is aye. Mr. Whitcomb
Aye.
and Mr. Wilhelm.
Aye.
Thank you. We have a 4-0 vote. We have approved the January payroll. Next item is claims for approval. Total. Total is $25,046.24. Highlighted numbers are snow plowing, inspections, zoning administration, attorney, and otherwise they're basically just what's normal normal expenses. Is there any discussion? Anybody wish to make a motion to approve?
I would move the motion. Thomas Duden.
Mr. Duden, is there a second? And again,
Bill
I
Wickham
will second
seconds
the
that.
motion. Oh, sorry, Bill. I will second the motion. Motion is made and seconded to approve the claims list for approval. Is there any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, we will proceed to vote. Mr. Duden.
Aye.
Mr. Sokol is aye. Mr. Whitcomb.
Aye.
Mr. Wilhelm.
Aye.
Motion carries by a 4-0 vote. We will now have the progress report on 2020 audit. I can just give a quick intro. I don't know who has gotten a request for information, but I got a questionnaire from Leonard and returned it, and they're in the process of completing and expect to have it done in a timely manner. Mr. Dahl, would you take over?
Right, they, Leonard Company set up a web portal and requested many documents which we were able to provide to them by way of that portal over the last several weeks. We're now down to the nub. Tomorrow, they start the field work. The field work will take place, as just about everything is taking place these days, remotely, online. They will not be visiting out here, but they'll have a virtual visit, and we'll proceed from there. But it's, so far it's been going fairly smoothly. We're able to provide everything they're asking for by way of documentation. So it's, we're ready to go into the final phases here with the field work.
Any other comments, questions? If not, we'll move on to the next item, which is the Mille County Economic Relief Grant Program. I will read this briefly. The Mille County Economic Relief Grant Program has reopened and is accepting applications from eligible small businesses and nonprofits. Complete economic relief grant program. The guidelines and a grant application can be found at www.mille.mn.gov. Applicants are required to thoroughly review grant program guidelines to determine program eligibility before applying. No paper applications will be accepted. Completed digital applications must be received by 5 p.m. on Friday, February 19th to be considered. Please visit the Mille County website for additional information. And from what I understand, they are actively pursuing people to apply because apparently there are not many people applying.
Mr. Chairman, I also have something.
I talked to a few small business people today, and they apparently are getting phone calls basically asking them to apply.
Mr. Chairman, Thomas Duden here.
Duden.
Middle of last month, I started going around contacting the businesses that were affected by the shutdown. I could identify, I think there's 5 or 6 in our township. And it wasn't just bars either. I mean, we had a little boutique that closed up doors. We had an RV dealership that was shut down for 3 months, trying to figure out what their tax base was paid into the township this past year. I did email the Minnesota Association of Townships, figuring out what we could do, basically asking them if we could just waive the township's fee for taxes, which I know is not, we cannot do, but if we could issue them a grant of what they paid in 2020 taxes. Minnesota Association of Township says that it's done by a third party, usually an economic development authority. We as the township cannot issue grants to businesses. I know we used to issue not grants, but money back to the community. And I was thinking we could just issue money back to the businesses that were affected in lieu of what they paid in for taxes, but we have no authority to even do anything. It's unfortunate to say, but you know, we can stand with our businesses, but we cannot issue them any tax credit, any severance package. It has to be done through a third party. So that's where I'd encourage businesses to look into.
Right, we were cautioned very strongly against trying to give grants out of our own township. Through the first wave, and again this time, we get every Wednesday morning we have a meeting, Zoom meeting, and they caution very strongly against us trying to be intermediaries for grant program. They have to do it on their own. So about the only thing we can do is what we did last year. We waived the liquor license fees for all the bars except for Old Log, because they were still able to continue open. Is there any further comments, discussion?
Gene, this is Bill Whitcomb. So is there a way that we could, we've got it here that they'd be going to the mille.min.gov. Is there a way that we could put this maybe on the front of our website, Doug? Is that possible, or is it going to be kind of buried down in somewhere, or maybe just the front page? We can write up a few words on who to contact.
Possible to do that. I think there's a very near deadline.
It's due by 5 o'clock Friday.
Oh, okay. Yep. Sorry. Thank you.
I believe Thomas put something on his Facebook.
Yeah, I could throw it out there for the community on the bulletin board. If you could email it to me, I'll get it out to the bulletin board scene. And I'll touch base with the businesses in the township too that I know were for sure affected by it.
Yeah, if there's anything we can do, I know I talked to 2 businesses today, and they actually got calls from the county encouraging them, because apparently nobody's applying. Unless they all do it last minute. Any further discussion on the economic relief program?
I just wanted everybody to know that this has been posted to the bulletin, and then a big part of what happened with this, so they put this out twice now, and part of the reason they didn't have a lot of people the first time was because part of the rules of this grant is you couldn't get any state funding. So a lot of businesses had to hold off because they didn't know if they got the state funding. So that's kind of why they're doing the second go round on this. So just some fun information.
Thank you. Any further comments? If not, if Mr. Richards is on.
May I?
Yes.
Just a point of information, pursuant to the recommendations of the Minnesota Association of Township and the urgings of the Board of Supervisors, I have brought in a deputy clerk after this long period of time. And Andrea Gerard has agreed to assume that responsibility. So he will be undertaking that, and has in fact undertaken that today.
Thank you. I don't believe Mr. Richards is on. Okay. I guess I would like for him to, I don't know if we want to proceed with this without his guidance. I think it's fairly clear cut. Let's attack it, and if somebody wishes to hold off. Basically, it's a zoning ordinance amendment. It's been presented in front of you. Been moved on from a Planning Commission. And if you look at the first one dated February 10th, on page 5, it gives a suggested motion. If anybody wishes to make the motion, I will read it. If somebody just wishes to make the motion or second it, I will read it. It says, I move that the town board waive second reading and adopt ordinance 2021-2, amending the zoning ordinance to add the definition of building setback line, clarifying lot width requirements at the ordinary high water mark in the zoning districts, and amending the allowance for cul-de-sacs in the River Conservation District. I further move adoption of resolution 2021-4, approving the summary ordinance for ordinance 2021-2. Is there any discussion? This is basically what all the pages that are in front of you, that's the summary of what we're discussing. Is there a motion to that?
I move that motion.
And that's Mr. Duden?
Mr. Duden will second it though.
Mr. Whitcomb made the motion?
Yes, sir. This is the
And-
same one that we discussed last month, it looks like.
Yeah, second reading.
Okay, thank you.
And it was seconded by Mr. Duden, okay? Motion has been made and seconded to make the summary language for publication. And then ordinance as it relates to adding a setback line, clarifying high water district, and also, and then the ordinance change for cul-de-sac and same watermark. It just simplifies the printing so we don't have to 60 pages. Is there any further discussion? Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? There is no
Gene,
discussion.
this is, well,
Go ahead.
no, I think we're good here. I just wanted to know if Mr. Richards was on yet.
I do not see him.
Okay.
He had 2 meetings tonight, so he was gonna try to time it to be on at this moment, but he's not, so I think we'll just
Okay.
do or proceed as.
Okay, yeah, I think all of our questions were answered last month too, so we're good. I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I talked to him today, and because yesterday was President's Day, he had the village of Excelsior, city of Excelsior, and Princeton both at the same time tonight. If there any further discussion? Is there any further discussion? The motion is as printed on page 5. Is there any further discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion to amend the zoning ordinance for cul-de-sac and high water mark, and also so you have the exact wording again. On board, waive second reading, adopt the ordinance, and also approve a summary resolution or a summary ordinance for ordinance 2021-2. If there is no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. Mr. Duden.
Aye.
Mr. Stoffel is aye. Mr. Whitcomb.
Aye.
And Mr. Wilhelm.
Aye.
Motion is carried 4-0. And we needed 4 votes on that resolution. Thank you. We are now moving on to a resolution approving work on 50th Street and LRIP application. We have received paperwork from Widening Township. They have signed on as a joint power or a partner with us on applying for the road improvement project. with Minnesota state aid. We need to, I believe the proper thing would be to approve resolution 2021-0209 that Wyandotte Township has signed. Basically an agreement for a division of engineering expense for Town Line Road. This is with the stipulation that we get the LRIP. Secondly, resolution number 2021-6 that we enter into a shared road improvement agreement with Wyandotte Township, subject to approval of the joint LRIP grant. Both these should be in front of you. I would entertain a motion to accept these two resolutions.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Duden here, I would move the motion to adopt.
Motion has been made to approve the resolution from shared powers with the Wyandotte Township and a shared road improvement agreement with Wyandotte Township both. So we have two different items or objects. Is there any further, or is there a second?
This is Bill Whitcomb. I'd second that.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the resolution brought forward from Wyandotte Township and our own, which is the last, I believe, the last information we need to make our application to the state for the LRIP. Is there any further discussion?
Gene, this is Bill Whitcomb. So
Whitcomb.
yeah, we've got the application completed. As you mentioned, we also have the resolution from the county, and they will be the sponsor of the project. And we also have the resolution from Wyandotte Township approving and agreeing to the shared cost of the engineering portion of the project. From here on out, it's just, submitting this application. It's due by March 3rd, so I'll be getting this resolution from you tomorrow, I'm hoping, and we'll get it into a PDF format and get it submitted. I will submit it to Todd McLeod for one final review, just making sure we've got all of our T's crossed and I's dotted. But yeah, that's the status of the submittal at this point.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Remembering that these are all contingent upon us getting the grant. If we don't get the grant, we don't have the joint powers. These resolutions are only in effect contingent upon getting the grant. Is there any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, we will proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion to the resolution? All in favor of the resolution to create joint powers with Wyandotte Township and what's that?
Call the roll.
Yes. Mr. Duden?
Aye.
Mr. Stokel is aye. Mr. Whitcomb?
Aye.
And Mr. Wilhelm?
Aye.
Thank you. We have a 4-0 vote. Motion carries. Review Brickton Road overlay quotes. Because of our unknowns about the 50th, we are shifting our attention to Brickton Road because there's some serious problems on the overlay on top of cement, and it needs to be taken care of, or we'll have a more problem in a year or two.
Mr. Chairman, this is Mr. Duden here. Before we get into the road discussion here, I just want to clear the air for everybody who's been bickering on the internet this past week since it came out. It gets thrown that it's so-and-so's road and so-and-so's road. How are we determining what to do with what road? Can somebody black and white say that? Is it because supervisors live on a certain road, or this guy's buddy or this guy's brother? How are we determining this?
If I may respond to that, we have, for the first time in the history of this township, done extensive fact managed. We bought ourselves a road counter. We've done road counts on every road in the township. We are aiming at the roads of heaviest traffic. And I think by fact-based road projects, I think we're not concerned about who lives where. As long as you live in the township, you should be granted equal care. We are taking care of roads that we need to take care of, because if anybody has driven on this road, realize that there's it looks like somebody's taken a pail of or something and pulled circles about the size of a 5-gallon pail out of the blacktop, and with a cement layer underneath that, it's going to bust up very quickly when there's a lot of moisture. So even though they'll say it's so-and-so's road, it's not so-and-so's road, it's a township road. If anybody else would, or any other board members wish to speak on this, I'd be more than happy to hear it.
No, you pretty much summarized it, Gene. This road.
What is the daily traffic count for this road that we are talking about?
This road has an ADT of 173.2, and that was measured at the south end. A to Z, as you know, is a commercial business within the township. They have business, as you see. I don't know if you can see where to kind of the north, the upper right-hand portion is A to Z. They also purchased Andrews Saab Volvold here, and so the numbers that I have were south of that. So they have quite a bit of traffic that goes between those two businesses back and forth. So I didn't even take into account those trips. I would guess there's probably anywhere from another 20 to 50. So they're well into the 200 ADT just on this short stretch of road.
So past that end of the overlay that we're potentially doing, that we are, whatever we're doing there, past that, what is the traffic count past the industrial businesses, if you will?
Off the end, like where it starts hitting gravel?
Yes.
That's 80, I think 83 vehicles per day. For another example, the other side of the road, up as you go past Baptist Church Road to the south, down to the auction place, that doesn't even get 100 vehicles a day, that portion of road. So this section of road we're talking about here gets almost double what goes up past Pike and past the auction place there and past the Baptist Church. And again, this is a commercial zone, commercial area, and it's on the existing 169 road bed, which is concrete. And over the last 2 years, we've put over $3,000 worth of patching into just that section of roadway.
I have a question.
Who is this?
This is Barry.
Okay, Barry.
Does this project only pertain to the prior paved section of this road, or what's currently paved?
Yeah, it's just an overlay in that area that's already paved.
It doesn't pertain to the gravel at all?
Absolutely not.
Thank you.
If you were to go into the quote, especially I believe it's the last one.
Say, Gene.
Yes.
Gene, could I have, when we were putting this proposal together, it's something that Todd and I had discussed, and maybe Todd, you could explain kind of how this quote kind of came together and the thoughts behind this. because we have here is more than just the overlay. And I'll show the typical section here real quick. And also maybe Todd, you can touch on the culvert.
Yeah, go back to the map, the aerial photo.
Okay.
The thicker line there on top is where the existing road is 20 feet wide. At the south end and the north end, it is 24 feet wide. So I included cost in this quote to widen that central portion of the road so that it was all consistent 24-foot wide road, which is our typical standard. And obviously, you don't want to do it, but I got cost for it. That detail there shows how we typically do that. This is the same detail I use in other townships, where we dig out the shoulders, we fill it with class 5, we build it in other townships. I try to get a 30-foot wide top, and then we put a 24-foot wide mat on it. And so that's basically what this does. In this case, because that central portion has a, the blacktop is unraveling, and you've got potholes and things that are coming off it. We're going to put a leveling course over the whole road to start with. This is going to be, it's a really fine bituminous mix, and it's a thin layer. It's going to fill all the holes. It's going to level out the road prior to putting the final 2-inch lift on. So that's what that signifies there. The culvert, there is an existing culvert under the road, which is failing. We've got some sinkholes on the edges. Because the road is the old concrete road bed from Highway 169, it's going to be tough to dig it out and replace it. So the cost that I have is to kind of bore a new culvert underneath the road, not disturb that big concrete slab, and abandon the old one. But again, because we're doing that type of construction, it's not an open cut. It's a boring pipe under the road. It's a little bit expensive, and that totals about $34,000 from the low quarter. Yeah, you can see it there marked in orange. So those are the 3 work items that we planned for the road. If we decide not to do the culvert, we'll have to think about something else on how to fix it. Not sure what at this point. The road widening, yeah, gonna go a little bit low. Maybe I'm too big here. I gotta shrink down. I can see those numbers. Yeah, non-widening to widening is about $16,000 or so. I think that's well worth the money to do that, especially when you have heavier traffic going through there. And just to do the widening alone, $60,000. So I think
Can you say that again, Todd? I'm sorry, I couldn't catch that.
Yeah, so I think the town board needs to look at the different work items here, and if they can budget accordingly and decide really what they would like to do. We have 60 days. It's under the threshold. Time.
Todd, you got to come up for air. I'm hearing about every third word. You're underwater.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We have 60 days for the board to decide what they would like to do, if all of the road work or just portions of it. It's not a public bid like 33rd and 82nd was. So I think the board just needs to look at their budget and decide what they would like to do.
Todd, this is Bill. I had a question.
Thomas.
So with this culvert work, I remember walking up and down this road, 5, 6, 8 years ago and seeing that there was some of that material being pulled in. Is this culvert something, in your opinion, that could hold off a year or two, or maybe not that long, maybe next year?
Well, yes, I think so. I don't think you're in danger of the road caving in because you've got a concrete slab over the top of it. So, yeah, another year or two isn't going to hurt that. And even if we do widen the road and repave it, we can still go back and go under it with a new culvert later. That's certainly an option.
Thomas, student here. I question widening the road. I don't think we've got a lot of oversized stuff going through there. I mean, A to Z is mainly box truck and, you know, maybe some flatbed work, but I don't see a lot of oversized stuff coming down the road. So I question having to widen it, I guess.
Hey, Thomas, I know the last year, I think it was, for some reason, that outside corner, as you're going southbound, the vehicles always go off that corner. We had to fill that in. It seems like every other year we get about a 3-inch drop over that edge. So maybe not on the straightaway, but for sure on that curve, we have issues. But I think what Todd was getting at is, since this is a commercial road and it's only 20 feet wide, that's the only reason that we threw that out there, just so you're aware of that.
I mean, we got cars going off. I mean, around that corner, would guardrails help at all? You know, that seems like that'd be a lot cheaper option if we got issues on one corner in the road.
Well, guardrails aren't all that cheap either, and you really need to justify the use of them by warrants, typically. I would not recommend guardrail.
It creates some liability if we have guardrails. Somebody hits the guardrail and has a serious crash. It creates more liability for the township, I believe. We went through that by the corner by K&K. And I think we kind of were advised against putting up guardrails to square that corner back to where it should be.
Yeah, I mean, that's further down the road, but that's, I mean, I'm more concerned on that bend of the road than, I guess, on the flat there. I just question the widening. I don't see the benefit in it, I guess. I mean, I don't have that big of equipment I'm hauling down the road, but we get a lot of combines down the road going to the dealership, the John Deere dealership there. But even then, I mean, a brand new combine with big metrics, which is unheard of for the most part in this area, and they're only 18, 20 foot wide, which, yeah, pretty much takes up the whole road. But, you know, the roads, you're getting to that point where you're on a township road, everybody realizes where you're at to the dealership, and you can pull off to the side too.
Well, we have 3 different proposals. One would be for the entire project of widening, overlay, and culvert. One, take away the culvert, and the third one would be take away the widening. We basically have $60,000 budgeted for this year. How much over the budget do we think we want to go to? I think if we went to 110,000, I think we'd be kind of violating what the intent of our budget was. So I guess I would say
I think for sure the culvert work can be put off. I'm sorry. I think for sure that culvert work could be put off. And as far as the widening, it's, I mean, the bang for the buck, they are there for you know, for an extra $1,500, $1,600. And we do have wide shoulders, which is nice. The shoulders that are out there are 6 or maybe 8 foot shoulders. So we'd still have a 24-foot lane with 4-foot shoulders. Right, otherwise we're gonna have a 20-foot lane with 6-foot shoulders.
Now, the other thing you're gonna look at too is plowing that. You're gonna probably have to make a 3rd and 4th pass up and down that road too, bringing it out even further.
Oh, we're not widening, the PIs aren't changing. That edge of the road is, I mean, the edge of shoulder isn't moving at all. Everything's gonna, so if you look at this typical section here, where are we at here? I gotta find this stuff. Sorry. There's a lot of things open on my screen. Sorry. There we go. So if you're looking at that middle section, that outside edge where the slope of the shoulder starts into the inslopes, that's not widening. We're not widening the overall road width. It's just the traveled lane is what we're talking about for the 24 feet, just for clarification.
Okay. I thought we were expanding the shoulder out another 4 foot on each direction and everything else.
No, the PIs would stay where they are. We're just adding 2 feet of bituminous outside the existing pavement if that's what the board chooses to do.
My concern is you young folks don't remember this, but I remember when 169 was the main road and the edges had like curves. And if you got close to the edge, you were going to get thrown either out or in very drastically. And I'm afraid that underneath that blacktop, there may be some old concrete curbing that if we decide not to widen it, or whether we do or not, we're going to run into some of these lips or these curves. And it could very greatly affect how the blacktop's going to take. I don't know if that's ever been looked at, but I know a lot of you people probably never drove 169 when it was that way, but driving from Zimmerman to Malacca was you better be on your ball, because if you got off the side and you threw into one of those curves, you either went in or out.
We have sensors
That's looked at or not.
We have 60 days. I would move to table the discussion and vote on next month when hopefully we have a full board present with Mr. Hiller attending.
Motion has been made to table this to the March meeting, which would be the regular meeting, which would be March 23rd. Is there a second?
This is Bill Whitcomb. I'd second that.
Motion has been made and seconded to review Brickton Road overlay quotes to March 23rd. Is there any further discussion?
I just wanted to find out from Todd, when were these quotes? What's the deadline? You said 60 days, but when was it actually submitted?
Last Thursday, the 11th.
So we've got till mid-April, or okay. So we definitely want to make the decision at the next meeting then. Okay.
Is there any further discussion? Motion to table to March 23rd. Is there any further discussion? If hearing none, we will call the roll. Mr. Duden.
Aye.
Mr. Stokel is aye. Mr. Whitcomb.
Aye.
And Mr. Wilhelm.
Aye.
Motion is carried 4-0. We will table the Brickton Road discussion until the March 23rd meeting. Next item of business is review quotes from grader and road repair contractors. You should have, first of all, you should have whichever one you want first. Mr. Haas has sent a proposal for a grading contractor with a either is 140G or 12H, 16-foot blade and mounted packer, 125 an hour. Grader 16-foot blade with no packer, 110 an hour. And I don't know if you want to do these individually. And for the other, the road repair, road maintenance and repair and snow plowing, we have Mr. Dahlheimer. I guess I shouldn't say the road grade or snow plowing, but the road repair contractor. We have Mr. Dahlheimer, listing at the skid loader on tracks, 95 an hour, front end loader, 125, dozer, 130, mini excavator, 100, big excavator, 150, dump trucks, 88, for the triaxle and for the single axle, 92. Blacktop patching, 155 a ton. Installed class 5 gravel, 1764 a ton delivered. And culvert and other material prices available upon request. Is there any discussion?
Gene, this is Bill Whitcomb. I just wanted to point out that this was advertised and these were the only, we only received one quote for the grader and one quote for road repair. So
Thank you.
we want to document that that did go out and only, they typically want to have 2 quotes, but since we only received one, that sounds like we're okay with that. I'm not sure if Jason Hill is on the call, but he can verify if we need anything other than that.
Mr. Hill, do you have a response to that?
Yeah, I had communicated with Bill and, it was advertised. I think there were, information that went out to specific contractors, and this is a problem that a lot of townships have in getting quotes. So the effort has been made. So I think you're fine as far as meeting the statutory requirements.
Thank you. And is there any further discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion to accept. Sorry, I interrupted somebody.
I have a question, Gene. This is Barry again.
Pardon?
How is the township going about advertising these things? I know you mentioned they sent some stuff out to some specific contractors. Are they advertising locally in publications, or are they going to bid rooms, or how are they getting their bids? How are they getting bids?
It was in our official newspaper is the Union Herald. It was advertised in there 2 weeks in a row under public notices, and it was also sent out to some of the known contractors.
Thanks, Gene.
And I'm sorry, who was it that was asking that question? This is Bill Whitcomb.
It's Barry Ramage.
Oh, Barry. Say, if Todd, if you're on the call, we could also answer that for what we did for the paving, the quotes for that, because that was done a little differently.
Yeah, again, by the Minnesota contracting statutes, we're less than $175,000, so we do not have to publicly bid. We are authorized to just get quotes. And that's what we did, is we just send these out I sent them out to 5 or 6 different companies, and I only got 3 returned. So that's how that worked.
Thanks, Todd.
Terry, if you'd like to get on our list to make sure that we send contract quotes to you, we'll try to get you on the list. Maybe you can,
I'm not an excavator. Thanks anyway. I just am curious to how they were advertising it. No problem.
okay, yeah, that was advertised 2 weeks in a row in the Union Eagle. And that's our official paper. I believe it was also put on Facebook, I believe. I shouldn't say that. I can't say that for sure.
Nothing was put online that I did.
Okay,
It was on our township's website also.
okay. Is there any discussion on the quotes? You've heard the quotes. Is there any discussion? Handle them separately or combined? I'd entertain a motion for whatever.
Well, I would say we can take them both at the same time. Well, we might as well do individual. Sorry, it's not that much more time.
Is there a
I'd
motion?
make a motion to accept the quote from Steve Haas on grading.
Motion has been made to accept the quote from Steve Haas on grading. Is there a second?
Thomas Duden, I would second.
Mr. Duden has seconded the motion. Motion has been made and seconded to accept the quote from Mr. Haas for road grading. Is there any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. Mr. Duden.
Aye.
Stokel is aye. Mr. Whitcomb
Aye.
and Mr. Wilhelm.
Aye.
And motion carries 4-0. We'll now review the quote from the road repair contract that we got from Mr. Dahlheimer. Is there any discussion? Anybody wish to make a motion?
I'd move the motion to accept the quotes from Dahlheimer and Sons for the road repair
Mr.
contract, or not contract, but the
Second.
road repair. Yeah.
Made a motion, I'm sorry. Is there a second? Did I interrupt somebody? Motion been made to accept Mr. Dahlheimer's bid for road repair. Is there a second?
Thomas Duden, I would second.
Mr. Duden has seconded the motion. Motion has been made and seconded to accept Mr. Dahlheimer's road repair contract. Is there any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. Mr. Duden?
Aye.
Mr. Stokel is aye. Mr. Whitcomb?
Aye.
And Mr. Wilhelm?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. We will move on to status of Northern Natural
Gene.
Gas access request. Mr.
Gene?
Hill?
Gene, excuse me.
Sorry.
Pardon me. This is Bill Whitcomb. Say, since we're on this topic here, I just want to make it clear that businesses, they can come and they can give quotes at any time. They don't necessarily have to wait for us to post something. We've also had people come in to fill out applications for helping with the road maintenance. So as far as I know, we're not limited to just waiting for something to be posted in the paper. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else? If not,
Yep, we're good.
if not, we'll move on to status of Northern Natural Gas access request. Mr. Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you all recall, at the last meeting, there was a temporary road access agreement that was brought to the board for this project. I was in the process of reviewing that and adding some changes to it. And last week, we got an email from one of the folks working on this project for Northern Gas that indicated that it was much more, not much more, it was more than just an access agreement, more than just a driveway putting pipe into the right of way. And I communicated, I don't know if Mr. Richards is on the phone. There are some additional permitting requirements that are going to be in place or be required. One being a driveway permit, also a building permit, because there are changes that are being made to the existing structure that's out there. And there is also, if you see on the screen here, there's a proposed expansion of the, I believe it's a parking lot. And that expansion goes on to a parcel of property that kind of surrounds this natural gas location. And they are in the process, and I was communicating with Mr. Randy Bovet, who I believe is the lead consultant on this project. They were, as of today, they were still working with that property owner to get that easement in place. So I have a draft agreement that was sent back to those folks to look at. I added some language to require indemnification of the township for the work that they're doing in the right of way. There are requirements, there are rules in place in Minnesota where when utilities, specifically utilities, are operating in a right of way, they have access to the right of way, but there are things they have to do like restore the right of way when they're excavating. So clarified some of that stuff. Clarified the timeline. The timeline in the original agreement just said 24 months, and it had, something like commencement of the excavation or something. And I clarified that timeline to basically say 24, to have the 24-month window from the issuance of the driveway permit, so that we have a very clear beginning date and end date. I'm waiting to hear back from them on that language. The other larger piece is that per the zoning ordinance, this specific, the structure and this use would require a conditional use permit, but there is a provision for public utilities that allows for an exception upon a showing of hardship and a showing that it's not going to pose an issue in the neighborhood. As to the second part, it certainly doesn't appear to be the case. And they are going to work on either putting together that petition for that exception or putting together, coming for a conditional use permit. In my conversations with Mr. Bovet, he understood, I think he does this work all the time. He knows what is required in these situations. They obviously can't be out there digging right now. So they're looking at, I think they were looking at March or April, or potentially even May, I think, before they really can get into stuff. So it's not extremely urgent, but I think now that we got the updated plans last week, I think we know more about what the scope of this project is and what's going to be required. And they are working on that. And it's my understanding they're going to have stuff done in fairly short order. So I think the building permit part of it, and the driveway permit part of it, I think should be able to be done fairly soon. We may have to address, kind of the subdivision easement part where they're expanding into that neighboring parcel. That's up to them. That's a private property owner issue, but that has to be figured out by them before they can proceed, obviously. But the piece that the town board will have to deal with is most likely the CUP or the exception for a public utility, and then the road access agreement. I'm hoping that they don't find any of my changes too objectionable, and we can proceed fairly easily with that. But that's kind of where we stand. The situation changed a little bit when we got the updated plans last week, and there's some more involved here, but I think we're I'm working with Mr. Bovet and that group, and I think we're, everybody's on the same page, and we should be able to move forward here in fairly short order.
Mr. Hill, do you believe that we are ready to make a move on this this evening, or should we push this to the March meeting when it could be all the T's crossed and the I's dotted?
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing, there are no applications before the board right now, no permit requests. There's no action to be taken now, but we can certainly plan on teeing all that up for the March meeting.
Okay, so we really do, I don't know, did we make a motion last month to table it to this month, or did we just push it down the road last month? If not, I believe we could safely push it down to the March 23rd meeting. Hopefully have all the, everything settled by then.
Yeah, and if it looks like, they can get everything lined up. It's, one of those situations too, where we could call a special town board meeting to kind of finalize some of that stuff if we didn't want to make, would it be the 23rd or would it be the third Thursday?
The township annual meeting is the 9th, so it has to be 2 weeks after that.
Okay.
We did move to table the agreement until the February meeting, so we will have to have a motion to table it again, I believe. But
yeah,
because the March 9th is the annual meeting for all the public, and then we have to go 2 weeks later, so the 23rd would be our meeting next month. Unless we do a special meeting before that.
Yeah, no, and that's fine, and I that's why I said if we don't want to wait until the 23rd, we can try to schedule something in the interim, just to kind of address those things and make sure we have all the permits, all the I's dotted and all the T's crossed.
Okay, so because we did table it to this month, we should probably table it again. If somebody wishes to make that motion, we appreciate it.
This is Bill Whitcomb. I'd move a motion to table the Northern Natural Gas access request until March 23rd.
Motion made, table status of natural gas access to March 23rd. Is there a second?
Thomas Duden, I would second that.
Mr. Duden has seconded the motion. We have motion before us to table the Northern Natural Gas access request to March 23rd. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call roll. Mr. Duden.
Aye.
Mr. Stokel's aye. Mr. Whitcomb.
Aye.
And Mr. Wilhelm.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hill. Next is the status of the tree removal approval letters. Mr. Whitcomb, I believe you can fill us in on this.
So last month, actually, I don't know exactly what the date was. It might have been February 6th. Dan Hiller and myself went out to discuss the tree removal with some property owners out on Ridge Drive, Fairlawn Avenue is what it is. And while we were out there, I was fortunate enough to get a hold of Mr. Hill, and he found this plat. I stopped up at the county, and what they gave me was the GIS information. And if you look really close, the only two people that we ended up having to speak with about getting permission was this lot on the right, lot 1, and then this one on the left on the inside of the curve, which both of those residents have given us permission to remove those trees that are within several feet of the road. We did not speak to the person to the north. We did attempt, but there was nobody home, and it hadn't looked like anybody had been there since the last snow, which was 3 or 4 days prior. No tracks going into the home or anything. But the reason that we feel like we're not going to need to speak with these folks is because there's an outlot actually. So their property line doesn't even come to the road easement or the road right of way. So this is the plat that shows that. And then the GIS site actually does have it in there too. So if you can see this, there's like a 1.5 foot gap of an outlot that shows right there. So for all purposes, I think we're good to go on this. We've got the signatures from both parties saying that we can remove those trees. Only one of the people is wanting us to keep the, just leave the wood along the road for them to take. Jason, is there anything else that we're going to need to do for this? I think we had it set for being able to do the work after February 26th. So once the snow melts, I think we're going to get started on that.
Just to clarify, Bill, if you look at the map that's being shown right now, right where the number 170 is where the trees are.
Well, they're actually right below the 7182. Yeah, they're right in this area. They're to the
right
east of this end. Yeah. Yeah.
And they're scrub trees. They're not like somebody's favorite maple tree or anything. They're
no. Yeah, they're just box elders, and there's only 2 that are, they're just a little over 6 inches, and there's probably a dozen that are, you know, the size of your wrist or smaller.
Great. Okay, I don't believe we need to take any action other than to realize that they should be taken out.
Right.
Thank you.
Now, before we do that, are we doing this in-house? Is it being subbed out? Clarification.
I guess I had planned on doing it in-house. Unless somebody else has other ideas.
We did have a quote for tree removal, but we've also, these aren't very big trees either. We're just talking, our hired guy to do them then?
That was my thought. We have 2 people that are set up as for road maintenance, and one of them is pretty handy with the chainsaw. We may need to look at having some stump removal done. And we can put out for quotes on that, unless again we could rent the equipment.
Any further discussion? If not, we'll move on to election and annual meeting letter to the township residents. We have before you the notice of annual election, annual meeting, public accuracy test, and board of canvass. We will be posting these and
It'll be published in the paper.
should be coming out in the paper on the 25th and 4th of March.
And then posted elsewhere.
And posted on our bulletin board and website. If you see it in front of you, you realize that the polls will be open between the hours of 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. The meeting will be held following election, beginning at 8:15. We will believe the idea is that we will be open on possibly in the shop area to convene, and then we will probably, because of some unknowns before us, we will probably be moving to a continuation meeting on to our regular May, previous or May, no, it'd be a special meeting on Tuesday, May 9th. Is there any discussion?
Speak to that. The shop option is probably going to work because we still have to provide for remote access. And I don't know a way that we could do that out in the shop
Okay,
for people who would choose to join the meeting by teleconference. So I think the most recent likelihood is that we'll set up similar to the way we are tonight. And then we'll provide the option, see if the consensus of the town is to continue the meeting to a time when we would more likely be able to have an in-person annual meeting.
questions? As you see, if you can see on the screen, you have the notice as will be posted. Is there any questions?
Mr. Chair, this is Jason Hill. Can I interject?
Yes, please.
I think this notice, if you are going to convene the meeting in person at the town hall, I think this notice has to reflect that. You can add that it can also be monitored via teleconference if you want to do that. But if you're going to convene this in person, I would recommend putting that in here. And then when you get to the town meeting, I know you previously mentioned the date of May 9th. Ultimately, it's going to be up to the town electors to make that decision. The town clerk calls the annual meeting to order. A moderator is appointed, and ultimately it's going to be up to the electors if they want to continue it to a different date, place, and time. The place being the town hall. You certainly can throw out that May 9th, but I just want to say, you're not going to be able to take action on that because that's something that's going to have to be decided by the electors at the annual meeting. But as far as this notice, I would say I would amend it to put in that it's going to be convened in person, and that they can also monitor via teleconference. Unless that's not the plan. Unless it's going to be all remote.
Right. That can't be the plan because we cannot accommodate remote access in the shop area. So we have to go all remote, which is the assumption of this notice.
Okay.
I had also provided a sample motion only, suggesting the date of May 9th, with the understanding that it would be decided by town voters. Also, I clarified the matter with the map attorney, and I'd like your comment on this, that once the meeting is convened, the attendees at the meeting have the option of offering the motion to continue. They do not have to wait for a moderator to be elected. Is that correct?
I thought that's what I saw on the MAT website too. But, and they had a script even.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mr. Hill,
the annual meeting script from Matt it says, number one, convene the meeting. Clerk calls the meeting to order. Number two, elect a moderator. Number three, you make the announcement because of COVID-19, and then you decide, what you're going to do. I think you need to have a moderator to function as to run the meeting and to, call for the motions, call for more discussion, call for vote, those types of things.
Very well.
Mr. Hill, I would refer you to, I don't know if you got the paper, the resolution number 2021-5. Whereas statute requires us to conduct an annual meeting, whereas the pandemic has hit, whereas the governor has declared a peacetime emergency. And then now therefore be it resolved, Princeton Town Board will hold 2021 annual township meeting through electronic means compliant with Minnesota statutes 13D-021.
Yeah, I've seen, is that the form that Matt has proposed?
We have that resolution in front of us. I guess I jumped the gun on it, but yes, this is a resolution that, I don't know where.
It was proposed, it was presented as a template resolution by the Minnesota Association of Townships.
Yeah, I've seen other townships using that same form. I have no issue with that form. That calls for an all remote annual meeting.
Yes.
And that is, you know, you start it remotely, the same way we're doing this town meeting. You elect a moderator, and then you can take that motion and put, have the discussion with the electors about continuing it to a later date when everybody can get together in person. So yeah, I have no issue with any of that stuff. I just wanted to clarify, just because it sounded like there was going to be folks there, but if this is the plan that it's going to be all remote to start, and then a decision is going to be made, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I muddied the waters. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. No problem.
No, so the proper move at this time would be to approve resolution to conduct the annual meeting remotely, and it's printed as resolution number 2021-5. Is there any comments on that possible resolution? I would move resolution 2021 Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, so that resolution.
Pardon?
I'm sorry, Gene. This is Bill Whitcomb. So
Yes.
the resolution that we're talking about, it is in alignment with what's shown on the screen right now. Well, as much as it can be. We're not contradicting ourselves.
But there is a resolution that have become in your packet also.
Okay.
It is in alignment, Bill.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Sure. This is Doug. Why we have action on the notice first?
Okay.
To approve the notice for publication as it's prepared there.
I would move the motion that we approve the notice of the annual election, annual meeting, public accuracy testing, and the Board of Canvass as displayed on the screen here.
Motion has been made to accept Mr. Duden, do you? Okay.
Thomas Duden, I'll second that motion.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the notice for the annual election, annual meeting, public accuracy test, and Board of Canvass. Is there any discussion? Is there any further discussion? The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? If there is no discussion, we'll proceed to vote. Mr. Duden?
Aye.
Mr. Stoffel is aye. Mr. Whitcomb?
Aye.
Mr. Wilhelm?
Aye.
Motion is carried 4-0. Next item we will
One
move.
other matter, sir. This is Doug. We discussed last time having an additional notice to the township residents about the election and the annual meeting because of the unusual circumstances. Possibility of a letter or a postcard was brought up as well. we want to do that, put this notice on a postcard and send it to all the residents so that we get that dispersion.
Yes,
I believe
this is
at this
Bill
time-
Whitcomb. This is Bill. I just wanted to make sure and follow up on what Doug is talking about there, because at the meeting minutes that we just approved, we did have a motion made that we were going to deliver the 2021 annual newsletter to residents by March 2nd to provide key information, but it sounds like we're not actually going to do the newsletter. Do we need to say anything or do anything to clean up that motion that was made at the last meeting?
Well, the newsletter can take many forms, and
Okay,
what we should probably do so it does not appear to be a political ad is probably bypass any reference to things that have been done or whatever, and strictly focus on information relating to the election and the annual meeting. So I believe a postcard with just that information should probably be our intent now, and then do an actual annual newsletter after the election.
okay, that discusses like the cleanup day and those types of things.
Yes.
Okay. But do we need to do anything about this motion that was made at last month's meeting? Well, like you said, like you're saying though, that could be anything, an annual newsletter, could be that postcard that we're talking about here.
It's up to you.
Mr. Chairman, just to clarify, this is Doug. I would like to see a motion to delay the annual newsletter because it was specifically stated as annual newsletter. Motion to delay the annual newsletter until after the election and substitute the notice of the postcard notification to all the residents. If that makes sense to the supervisors.
This is Bill Whitcomb. I'd move the motion to delay the annual newsletter to a later date and substitute that with this notice of annual election, annual meeting, public accuracy test, and the Board of Canvass. And we can do the annual newsletter in late March.
I believe it may be, I'm not quite sure, I'm trying to go through my old parliamentarian rules. Because
Okay.
the annual newsletter, the statement says we deliver the 2021 annual newsletter to residents. We may have to rescind that motion first before we move forward with a new motion to just alert. I would make a motion, or I would move that we rescind the motion that was made at the February, or at the January 19th meeting to deliver the annual newsletter to residents by March 2nd and delay it till after the election. This would be the easiest way to do this properly, is to rescind that motion.
I second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to rescind the motion from January 19th to move that to post-election. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Mr. Duden?
Aye.
Mr. Stosel's aye. Mr. Whitcomb?
Aye.
Mr. Wilhelm?
Aye.
Okay, now we have cleared the way so we can properly address the information we want to get out to the residents. Do I hear a motion pertaining to sending a postcard or something out before pre-election? Basically with the same wording that we have on there, or an abbreviated amount of wording that we had in that motion that's on the board or on your screen right now.
Yes, this is Bill Whitcomb. I'd make the motion to send out a postcard, essentially showing the notice of annual election, annual meeting, public accuracy test, and board of canvass.
Motion has been made to send out a postcard type notice to all residents pertaining to the annual election, meeting, accuracy test, and board of canvass. Is there a second? I will second that motion. Motion has been made and seconded to send notice of annual election, annual meeting, public accuracy test, board of canvass in postcard style to people before annual meeting date. Is there any further discussion?
I was just wondering, Jason, does that all line up with your thinking on how this is to be done?
Yeah, this is all fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we will proceed to vote. Mr. Duden.
Aye.
Mr. Stokel's aye. Mr. Whitcomb.
Aye.
Mr. Wilhelm.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. We will now, if we could next have the slide, would be the possible resolution. Okay, this would be a resolution. Basically, it says therefore be it resolved, Princeton Town Board to hold the 2021 annual township annual meeting through electronic means compliant with Minnesota statute 13D.021. It's resolution 2021-5. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Is there a motion to accept this resolution?
Thomas Duden, I would move the resolution.
Motion has been made by Mr. Duden. Is there a second?
Bill Whitcomb, I'd second that.
Motion has been made and seconded to accept resolution 2021-5, resolving that we will hold the annual meeting through electronic means compliant with Minnesota statute. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Mr. Duden.
Aye.
Mr. Stokel is aye. Mr. Whitcomb.
Aye.
Mr. Wilhelm.
Aye.
Thank you. We have a 4-0 vote. Motion carries. Next item is to clarify town hall open hours and clerk treasurer schedule. And because sometimes where clerk treasurer has items that have to be confronted on a Friday, we have scheduled, last month we authorized Monday through, I believe it was last month, Monday through Thursday. I would like to change that to Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, town hall being open, and 1 or up to 7 hours of floating time when it more fits what his schedule requires him to do. Mr. Dahl, would you comment on that? Is there anything else or we need to?
No, that covers it. It's just there has been considerable need to work on Friday is because of availability of the people that need to do things. So, having that flexibility would be very helpful.
And people will still understand that they can be here Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, normal hours. And then I know there have been many times on a Friday that I've ended up coming here for whatever, and then he usually has more than enough to do. So I would like to make that a motion to change, flex the schedule from Thursday, or specifically Wednesday to Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and flex 7 extra hours.
I would second that. Bill Whitcomb.
Okay, motion has been made by Gene, seconded by Mr. Whitcomb to flex the schedule a little easier for clerk treasurer, so he doesn't have to come in on Friday on his own or on his dime. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Mr. Duden.
Aye.
Mr. Snowfield's aye. Mr. Whitcomb.
Aye.
Mr. Wilhelm.
Aye.
Motion carried 4-0.
Say, Gene, I was just wondering, this is Bill Whitcomb, is this pretty much in alignment with the historical hours of the township clerk?
I believe so.
Okay, thank you.
Tuesday, Thursday,
Thank you.
and other flexibility. We just at the last meeting or 2 months ago, we set Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and that really doesn't work very well because there's so much flexibility, or so little flexibility in that schedule. So if we could still have Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then the flex day or flex hours. So many things are happening on Friday that he's set to be here many Fridays.
I just wanted to clarify that for any township residents that are listening, that we're not changing. We're continuing on with what we've always had for the Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. So we're not. That's not changing.
I believe if somebody desperately needs clerk treasurer attention on Wednesday or Friday, they can make an appointment, and we will be complying with people's needs.
Great, thank you.
It just gives some flexibility because there's so many Fridays that he's had to be here, and it just gives some flexibility that I think is needed.
Jane, this is Cindy. Can I speak for a minute?
Yes, ma'am.
The thing I keep hearing from residents is the uncertainty of things. Is there a way you can post on the bulletin board when you're aware that the hours would be flexing one way or the other? Or some way you can post it or put it on the web page or something ahead of time, as soon as you know?
The hours, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday are going to be pretty rigid, but that extra day, I think if somebody needs something on a Wednesday or Friday, they can let us know, and I think Doug has been more than accommodating to deal with it.
Okay.
So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday are locked in. Then the other schedule time is more flexible because there are so many different oddball things that are happening.
So I guess I'm wondering how that's going to be obvious to the public. If they can just let you know.
Mr. Dahl, would you respond?
Yes, those are the published hours. They have been the published hours all along. There's never been any publication of any other hours. It was just added in to a motion during my review to add some additional time.
Okay.
And just suggested it was added in the motion to be open on Wednesday, but it's never been published. So everybody is aware of the times it's published on the webpage, and it's been that way continuously because there's never really been an opportunity to just open it up on Wednesday and hang there, because a lot of stuff happens on Friday.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just to clarify, that those extra hours are flex. So it's, you know, some of those times might be days where Gene has to go in and meet with Doug, or I have to go in and meet with Doug or Thomas or one of the board members. So the public's time that's noticed is Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. All the rest of those times are flex.
I noticed Mr. Richards is on now. Just to let you know, Mr. Richards, the motion that you presented or we acted upon and passed it. We felt that it was laid out pretty well. Thank you very much for laying it out so well that we all understood it and it's been passed. Just to let you know that everything went well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just listening and won't charge you for this, just trying to keep abreast of what's going on.
Thank you. We will now move on to the road report. Mr. Whitcomb.
Okay, I'll make this quick. I don't have a lot to discuss with the roads. I just wanted to touch on the county ditch. Just so you are aware, they're still in discussion on this. This is something that evidently from a year or so back, they wanted to fast track it. So the people that were in the meeting were the county engineer, Dylan Hayes' replacement, who was only there 4 days. And at this meeting, we discussed kind of pushing this back a little bit because both the engineer and the hydraulics folks up at the county needed more time to look at this. But we really only have two culverts that are crossing at 65th and 100th Avenue. They wanted to replace an 18-inch CMP and a 15-inch CMP with a 30-inch CMP. And these were the locations for those of you who may be familiar with the area. 65th, I've got it circled there in red, just north of Volker's farm. And then the other one is just north of, on 100th Avenue, just north of the country store. There's a 15-inch up there. And these are the locations, removing an 18-inch and replacing with a 30-inch. And then the following is replacing a 15-inch with a 30-inch. And we'll be discussing this more late March. And I guess the only question I did have for the board was they've got it set up as a CMP replacement. And we're potentially looking at a HDPE, which is a high density polyethylene. And I'll be talking to Todd about that a little bit more. They asked if we wanted to do CMP, the concrete, the RCP, reinforced concrete pipe, but we at this point, I can't exactly tell how deep these are and what the depth of cover is. So those are some of the things I wanted to talk with Todd about once we decide on the actual size of pipe, because I was talking to a hydrologist today, and they made it sound like because of how smooth the poly is, that they can get water through quicker. We might be able to go with something not so large as a 30-inch. We might be able to save money and get it down to an 18-inch pretty easily. But those are some of the things I'll be discussing with Todd at a later date. So that's all I had for that. I was just going to hand off to Thomas since he's been working with the snow removal. So Thomas, if you wanted to take it from here. Unless somebody had questions on this ditch, sorry. I don't really have a lot of answers. We're still going to be discussing what's happening.
Plowing, again, it's unofficial when I throw it out on the Facebook page. It's been pretty well received, except for the one time I put a picture when I was actually plowing the parking lot myself, and there's a picture of a Wendy's sign. Now it's become a running joke that we were getting a Wendy's. Nothing too exciting. the last storm, we did have to make several passes with the wind that was blowing. We just had a bunch of drifting the first day. And then again, over the weekend, we had a bunch more drifting. So we did have to make several passes on the one last storm. I did ask Brian, been looking over his invoices whenever they come in, to separate it out so we can see what we're paying for sanding, what we're paying for widening or, winging the ditches and plowing, just so we have an itemized breakout, not so it's just plowing February 11th. Here's the dollar amount, just so we can see an itemized breakout of everything so we know what we're paying for. Again, the plowing on the bulletin board has been pretty well accepted. Only thing is trying to get people to know where they live at. There are some people who live in the city, think I'm posting for the city, and it clearly says township. We do have one thing, and I might as well bring it up right now. We do have a new house on 65th Avenue and 110th Street, just north of the township there. It's a new house. We have never plowed the road before. We usually plow to the dead end on the back side, but we never come around on the front side. I did talk to her. She does have the capability to do it herself, but it's just getting to that time in the winter where everything is starting to get to the point where we got to push it open. I did send the plow truck down that road one time so far to open it up. We didn't hit it last storm. I mean, it's one of them that I think we're going to have to do a joint partnership maybe with Greenbush Township, see if they could take care of that road. I know we take care of some of their roads, just a powers of agreement, because they actually get closer to that road than we actually do. I don't know. That's just one. And I've been in contact. Her name is Katie. Real nice gal. She understands, kind of mid-season, now we got to come up with a game plan for the place. Because it wasn't on our initial road plowing list until we got a phone call one day. But she is aware that, we're working with it. She's not going to get the most prompt attention just because it wasn't on her initial plat book for new roads, I guess, or existing roads that now there's a house built on it. But it's the only house on the road. Other than that, that's all I've got.
Thank you. Anything else? Thomas, nothing. Bill, road report, you're
No,
done?
I have nothing. Yeah, the next item is the fire board. We didn't have a meeting last month, and I didn't get any reports or numbers from the chief, so I'm finished with my reports.
And we have not received the fire contract? Is that correct?
It didn't come to me. I mean, I'm guessing it would be coming to Doug, but I have not. I haven't received anything.
In that case, we have not, no. Okay. Next item would be City Planning Commission Liaison, and there was a notice sent out about annexation of certain land, and when the City of Princeton sent it out, it said to the City of Princeton from Baldwin Township, but the property is actually in Princeton Township. Later in the statement, it says currently lying in the Township of Princeton. It's basically next to the airport, or next to the public safety building. Mr. Hill has responded that we really don't have a whole lot we can do about it other than I know when they talked about annexation of some other property, that I believe the city has an ordinance that they will pay 50%, 40%, 30%, 20%, and 10% for the 6 years after an annexation of our lost revenue from not having that for real estate. I will be addressing that at the meeting next Monday night, and again on Thursday, the 25th, at the city council, to make sure that if we don't have a whole lot of choice about that, it's going to be lost, but that we at least protect our lost revenue. I guess there's not much else I can say about that. The airport board is kind of in flux right now because of the city administrator leaving. We have a new city administrator. I look forward to working with her. Known her for some time. She's, I think we'll have a nice working agreement with them. I will move on to Township Planning Commission. Is Mr. Persing there?
Yeah, Gene, I'm here, and Mr. Hiller asked me to fill for him. Basically, there was a couple of things that just kind of got continued along. One was the home occupations. I believe Mr. Richards is reworking some of the paperwork up on that and representing it to us next month. And then along with the electronic sign ordinance, that is the same thing. I think he had some verbiage that he was going to rework and then present it to us again. There was a couple of people in attendance that were from Federated in regards to the electronic signs, and they're hoping that we can get something through at some point because, you know, they have people to the south and people to the north. To the north, it's in Pease. They have some competition up there where they are allowed signs up there that are electronic, and they're in hopes that we can come up with a reasonable formula to you know, work with our businesses in the township. Is that kind of what you recall, Scott?
Yeah, I think you covered it pretty well, Dave. Our next meeting is on March 1st, Monday, March 1st, and we continue those discussion items to that meeting, as well as we have another event venue, CUP, and a preliminary plat with about 3 lots. So that's what we'll be doing on March 1st.
Perfect. That's all I got for you, Gene.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to new business, I think we already did the resolution to hold the annual meeting remotely. Election and annual meeting notice is taken care of. City and annexation notification is taken care of. Township newsletter is taken care of. I think we're down to township business support. We already discussed the economic relief grant program. Is there anything else anybody wishes to add to the township business support?
What does that relate to, Gene?
Well, I think it just has to do with this letter from the Black County Economic Relief Grant Program.
Oh, okay.
And I already talked about that earlier.
Right.
We will put it on, I think we're going to put it on the website. And I've got the information for Doug, if he doesn't have it. But I have the information. Next item of business then would be add Chamber of Commerce liaison as a supervisor duty. Is that something we would consider?
Mr. Chairman, this is Thomas Duden.
Yes.
I was the one that kind of brought this to Doug's attention to put it on the agenda. Maybe it is something we can look at. We know our businesses are struggling here in the township with the past year. I don't know what benefit it would do to us. I don't think it's going to hurt us as a township. I have not talked to anybody from the Chamber of Commerce yet, but I just felt like it would show another level of support for our township businesses. The other thing is the city of Princeton is members of this. The Economic Development Committee, I think she said, was part of it in the email. But I just think maybe it might show us supporting our own industries. I don't know. It might be something to look into. I just wanted to bring it to attention. And like I said, I got to talk to them and get some more attention to figure out how it would benefit us as a township, as well as maybe benefiting the township businesses as well as the city of Princeton, showing that, hey, we're here to support the city, so the city's here to support us. There's been a lot of talk of annexation, and I just felt this would show us as a little more pertinent to showing activity in our own business community. I'm
wondering if we can, you know, have a list or somewhere on our website that lists the businesses within our township, just to help them out on that end of things too.
Not a bad idea, something to look into. Like I said, this is just in the beginning stages here.
So I'd like to speak really quick. This is Andrea Jean. Currently, I'm looking at the Chamber's website. The City of Princeton, Mille Lacs County, the school, and Sherburne County are members. So I think this would just be another road to show like how we're kind of a part of the big community. And when I originally brought this up to Thomas, I brought it up because when businesses were opening in the township, the City of Princeton's mayor and was the one there to help open the businesses. And I'm like, but our township is, you know, you guys are the ones who represent them. So I just wanted to reach out and be like, you know, it'd be nice if the chamber kind of looked to you guys more for their leadership part, because if anything goes on, they need to go to the township and not to the city when they, you know, like Thomas was saying, he's reaching out to businesses. He's going to be helping the businesses more in the township than the city does right now. So this is a new idea. And, you know, I attend the meetings. They're not bad. They're kind of fun. They get goofy sometimes. I'm done.
Any further comments?
I
I
don't
guess
have
for
any.
myself, I just say, Thomas, if you wish to, and I will probably talk to the Silsheim about it also. I really don't know their Chamber of Commerce person, but I know their EDA person. I'll try to communicate with them a little bit. You can communicate with them and we'll come up with a better plan for next month. Any further discussion about the liaison? If not, we'll move on to, is there any other other business, I should say?
Gene, this,
Gene. Oh, okay, Todd, this is what, yeah, you were up next. Thank
Gene, this is Todd. I'd like to bring up one thing to the board. Each year, in the beginning of the year, our company looks at billing rates and makes adjustments accordingly. And this year, headquarters has decided to adjust our township hourly rate schedule. And, you know, we've had our rates, my rates have been pretty steady the last 5-6+ years. And I got this list just yesterday. I sent a copy up to Doug here today, and it's our 2021 township hourly rate schedule. So I just wanted the board to know that it doesn't increase a whole lot. We're still very competitive, I believe, with other companies around. And, you know, when we do projects, typically on a fee basis anyways, this would apply to the miscellaneous hourly things that the board asks me to do. When we do plat reviews and those kinds of things, that comes off of the developer's escrow, so the township isn't paying that anyways. But so I just wanted to bring this forward. I'm just probably won't start this till March 1st, even though it says January 1st. But yeah, I won't start it till March. So just want to let you know that.
I don't believe we've called for qualification reviews for just a little over a year. Typically, by statute, we have to, I think it's 3 to 5 years, but we can at any time earlier. I don't know, does anybody have any concerns about the price list or the cost list that was just on your screen? Hey,
Todd, I just want to say thank you for the work you've been doing. I know you've been with us a long time, and I know we're finally starting to get a road plan together, and I want to thank you and Bill for working together and kind of putting together, you know, a long-term forecast, not just this year.
Thank you.
I will second that and then some. It's amazing how much difference there is now than there had been with not being fact-based and just kind of, I guess it was the way we used to. But thank you. And I appreciate the fact that you have a long history with this township and can go back and relate to something that's happened 10 years ago. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other discussion, comments?
This is Bill Whitcomb. I'd also like to thank Todd for his vast knowledge that he has on the township and just the history that he brings. I'd really hate to lose the knowledge that he has with what's happened with the township and the roads and you know, a lot of the stuff that I've developed for the pavement was initially done by Todd and his group, and it's just been nice to be able to just move that stuff forward. And when he sees it, what I'm presenting, I'm sure he can follow along much easier than if it's just something that we pulled out of thin air. So I appreciate working with him. It's been very helpful.
Thank you. Is there any other business to come before the meeting? I don't think we have anything to act on in this. Is there anything else coming before this meeting? If not, we could entertain a motion to adjourn.
This is Bill Whitcomb. I'd move a motion to adjourn at 9:40 p.m.
Thomas Duden, I would second.
Motion is made and second to adjourn. We'll call a roll. Mr. Duden.
Aye.
Stoffels, aye. Mr. Whitcomb.
Aye.
Mr. Wilhelm.
Aye.
Motion is carried. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Good night.
Uh-oh. Todd? Did you have?
Good night, all.
Just good night. See you later.
Hey, thank you.